is an exercise that I'm going to kind of talk you through. It's like a little brainstorm, visual brainstorm. I like to put, like if I'm analyzing a story, put the major beats over here, write my theme out. The theme of Up is adventures out there. And I start to think about how all of these concepts are connected. And I ask a bunch of questions that the minor beats are gonna ultimately have to answer. So the biggest question, how is the theme that I want to communicate in the story, that the storytellers, the filmmakers wanted to communicate, how does that connect to the main character? What does he need to learn? How is that going to have anything to do with the plot of the movie? What would make the Act 1 inciting incident the until one day moment? How is that emotionally poignant for an audience? It probably has to be a hard decision for your main character. So why is this choosing to lose his house or, floating away to Paradise Falls? How is that difficult for Carl? How am I going to communicate to the audience that that's a hard choice for him? Well, I know that his wife passed away, so maybe the theme and maybe the difficulty of the inciting incident is going to have to do with his wife. So here's all these elements I'm seeing now. Okay, the house is important, his wife is important. How do they relate together to have something to do with adventure? Now up to the main character. He's grumpy. Was he always grumpy? Do I start him there? Maybe he turned grumpy, which they ended up, they chose to start him as a child, and he was not grumpy when he was a child. He was a little bit square, literally, but he was a little, not as adventurous as Ellie, but he wasn't grumpy. He wasn't, the way he is when we meet him as an adult later in the movie. Was he happier when she was alive? And then there's this other character that gets introduced in Act 1, Russell. Why choose a kid for this story, right? Why did they choose a kid? How could he connect to that main theme? They make him a wilderness explorer, adventure. Now, Russell can kind of be like a vehicle for the theme of the movie. In the beginning, Carl dismisses him, tells him to go away. That's kind of your main character rejecting the theme. So Russell as a character is really, he's serving a purpose in the storytelling of the theme of the movie. He kind of represents Carl's willingness to embrace the theme or to reject the theme. What does Carl think of children, right? They make this very big moment of Carl and Ellie not being able to have children in Act 1. And I think that makes his relationship with Russell much more meaningful. I think it also has to do with him being alone without Ellie. He doesn't have family beyond her. And if Carl is alone, all of these major beats that they've chosen, that his wife passes away, that now they're going to take his home from him, they all feel a lot heavier now that he doesn't have other family around him. And, they did this work to choose minor beats that are going to make all these other moments of the movie really feel like something. And eventually, when the main character's learning the theme at the end of the movie, all of those minor beats are going to make the audience cry or laugh or cheer or really just feel something heavy and emotional. And they did this with purpose, and every detail mattered. So I'm going to do like another kind of fun exercise where I'm going to take a minor beat from Act 1 and just change one thing about it and talk about how that would affect the rest of the movie. So the moment where Carl meets and he dismisses the young explorer, Russell. Well, that wouldn't work because then Carl learned the lesson, right? Remember, Russell is kind of representing the theme in this story a little bit. And if Carl just said, oh yeah, let me help you out and help you get your wilderness badge, or I'm sorry, you're like, I think he wants to like help him do something. I forget what the specific badge is, but it would be like, oh yeah, Carl's not grumpy. He's willing to connect with a young person and doesn't seem very lonely. He just made friends with this kid, and okay, that's the end of the movie. I don't need to see him grow any further from there. When Carl and Ellie are younger, they want to have children, but they can't. Well, what if they did? Well, would he be alone at the end of the story? Oh, he'd probably have other family and children and grandchildren. Would his relationship with Russell feel the same? Probably not. And that sort of brings me back full circle to why you choose your minor beats the way you do. because we want to feel something when each of these major beats happen. We want to feel something when they're taking Carl's mailbox away from him and telling him that he needs to leave the house. And the only way we're going to feel that is because of this minor beat that happened earlier in the story, where we saw him making that mailbox with his wife. We feel the moment where the house lifts away because we know that when they were children, this was something that they shared as like a dream of theirs. And that he has to go alone without her, but like that's kind of reconnecting him to her and to his childhood. So an exercise to help you guys come up with your minor beats, and I did this earlier, write out your major beats on the left side of the page, write your theme on the right side of your page, just to keep reminding yourself of your theme. And by the way, your theme can change sometimes. Like sometimes your story is telling you what it wants to be. You think you want to tell a certain story, and then you're like, oh, but all these major beats that I'm drawn to, or all these minor beats that I'm imagining, they seem like they're telling a different story. This happens all the time. We do this for years when we're making movies as a team, where we think the movie's about one thing, and then 3 versions in, we're like, that's not what the movie's about, is it? It's about this other thing. And then the theme kind of changes. But the theme is just something that you hold in your mind as like a compass, right? And sometimes you got to change what it is, where it's taking you maybe. But if you write these things out, you could start brainstorming. How are all these things connected? How do I want my character and audience to feel? And what minor beats can I choose to help me achieve the emotional impact that I want at each major beat, and to serve your theme? Right? And I'm not going to read through these now. These are just all scribblings of all those things that I talked about earlier, like how I was analyzing Up's first act. But once you have ideas for all your minor beats and you have them all written down, you could look at each one and you can ask yourself, is this minor beat helping get my character one step closer to the next major beat? Does it make my character feel something about the major beats that they're experiencing in the plot? And does it help my character complete their arc? Or does it help support the theme that I am communicating in this story that I'm telling? And then you come up with an image to represent it. Like I said, look at the first 4, I think, how long is it? 4 minutes of Up? Whatever that montage is, just watch that. They don't even have dialogue. You could just look at those images. Try to communicate it with like really simple, clear drawings, simple, clear dialogue, simple, clear narration in your story reel. And that's it.